Good evening. Hey, my name is Randy Jackson.
I'm Misty Mitchell.
We're here with Into Darkness Northwest, and we are on location at the Maverick Station on 27th and Main.
This is the last known location, August 25th of 2015, of Ronie Parrott. She was apparently here buying a soda, it appears, about midnight.
Yeah, 11 to midnight.
11 to midnight. And then her body was found about 6 months later, February 13th of 2016, in Hulse Gulch in Boise, Idaho.
So we're down here. We came down here to just kind of go on location to, we're getting ready to but we came down here to be on location a little bit to see just where it was that Ronie was at. We've kind of talked with some different people in the community. Back when Ronie disappeared, there was a lot of crime in this community, and definitely some issues with drugs and homelessness. So it's been informative, I think, being down here.
Yeah, we've talked to a few people that talk about the homeless population down here, and
even some that talk about the goose population.
yes.
So that was an interesting conversation, without a doubt.
But coming up, we are going to be talking to TJ. He is someone that knew Dave. He was his fire crew boss.
Fire crew
and
boss.
then he also knew Ronie. He talks about spending family
dinners and stuff,
yeah.
family time with them.
Family time with her.
So the one thing that like Misty said, TJ was a fire boss for David, who was Ronnie's on again and off again boyfriend, and they worked for I believe the place was called Playing Buffalo. And so I'll just put this out there as well. If there's anybody watching this that has worked for Playing Buffalo, we'd love to hear from you. We do have a few questions we just kind of want to, discuss. As we go through this podcast, it's been really interesting. The whole thing we're doing is we're trying to get to know more about Ronie, about the situations that are going on in her life. This is kind of an interactive thing. So we want to hear from people who knew her and were directly involved with her directly before she disappeared.
And so if you have any information and you want to contact us, we have a Gmail account. It's intodarknessnw@gmail.com.
Or you can find us on Facebook. That's Into Darkness NW. Facebook.com/Into Darkness NW. And also our YouTube channel.
Yes, which is Into Darkness NW.
So please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And definitely, without a doubt, if you have any information, please contact us. And hey, let's make this cold case a closed case.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. So, all right, well, we'll get started here. So my name's Randy Jackson.
Misty Mitchell.
All right, and we are here, and I got to tell you, just super quick, because I have to tell you, there's a reason why I wanted to meet at Moxie. It's because it's the greatest coffee ever. So if you are in the mood or need a good coffee, Moxie Java and Impa. All right, so we're here to discuss the case of Ronie Parrott. And you want to tell us a little bit about that?
She disappeared August 25th of 2015, and her body was found in the Boise foothills on February 13th of 2016.
Okay, so, and we're here with TJ. TJ is a friend of hers, so.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, so a little back history about myself. I moved down here when I was 18, start firefighting, and Ronie was one of my very first friends that I met when I first moved down here. So she was a really outgoing gal, really upbeat, really full of life. That's why we got along. So we always, through the years, we'd have like family get-togethers, barbecues, some Easter dinners to Thanksgiving. So she'd always come over, make an appearance. Just always good. It was really good. So that's why I kind of want to figure out what's going to happen here, just because it's kind of a tragedy, a real big thing. So.
How long did you know her?
So now it's probably been about 8 years. From the time I met her to the time, I guess, she passed, or from, I guess, what had happened.
What is your favorite memory of her?
probably when we were having one of our water fights with all the little kids at my aunt and uncle's house. I think that was like 4th of July, 2012. That was pretty good. We just family hanging out, just 100-degree day, just having fun, just drinking, kids running around through sprinklers, just kind of stuff like that. Just a real good memory, stuff like that. Just, out of all the good stuff I remember, we had some good times.
Okay.
How would you describe her as a person?
Really caring and would be willing to give the shirt off her back for anybody.
I'm hearing that.
She was really good at heart as well. Just if she knew you were having a bad day, take time out of her day to kind of see how you're doing. Just even if she was having a pretty rough day on some of those that I've known her, she'd go out of her way to be that helpful person.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about your relationship with her, as far as, you were friends. Is there anything else you would add to that?
I started out as friendship, but it kind of turned more into, I guess, kind of a family type of scene, since we wouldn't see each other very often, maybe at least a couple times a month, but it's like when we seen each other, just right where we left off, like, hey, how's it going? She's letting me know she's working at these concerts, got a new job. I'm letting her know what's going on with the fire crews, and it was really a good relationship that we kind of built off of.
Okay.
And like meeting some friends when you first moved down here and not knowing anybody, that's kind of a nice connection, trying to meet that person. And she was just really open and loving about that, so I loved her for that.
What did she do?
So she had quite a few jobs. I know she did some like house cleaning. She worked, did a lot of stuff down at the music scene, at the knitting factory. Anything from like security to just helping stage management process kind of get set up, and then helped her daughter with a number of things, kind of taking care of her grandkids and stuff like that as well.
Was that Tila?
Tila, yeah.
Okay. Do you know her other daughters?
I do not. And I've never actually met her daughters.
Okay.
I've
Not
only
even Tila?
I've only talked to them on the phone
Okay.
with the whole investigation. So I've never physically met them, but
Okay.
Okay. All right. Tell us a little bit, if you can, about some of her friends that she had at the time.
So some of the friends she had, they were good people. Just, I don't say they were making the best of choices with stuff they were doing. Just substance abusers, stuff like that. Some of her friends I couldn't say could really hold down jobs. Not saying they were bad people. Just but some of the crew she hung out with was kind of a little towards on that side.
Rough?
Yeah.
Kind of a rough crowd?
So, do you know anything about her living situation when she disappeared?
I know up until then she was kind of bouncing around, kind of like couch surfing, and then she was staying with one of our friends named Dave, and he's kind of was bouncing between hotel rooms at the same time.
Did you know a guy named Jerry by any chance?
Jerry is my uncle.
Jerry is your uncle?
Jerry.
I heard that she may have been living with a Jerry also at some point.
So she was helping take care of my aunt, because my aunt needed a living home care person, and they were kind of saying that was her job, but it wasn't really her job because it's supposed to be through the state and stuff. And my cousin was supposed to be doing that, but my cousin was not making good choices at that time. So Ronie was kind of stepping in to help fill in for Augusta's shoes at that time.
Okay, all right. Do you? But so she did have something to do with him at the time, or maybe?
Yeah, so she
living
was
with him?
staying there. I don't think she was residing there. I know she was staying there a few nights of the week to kind of help out during my aunt's episodes that she was having.
Okay, all right. All right. So, and what do you know about the night that she went missing?
All I really know is that the only thing I do know is that the last time she was seen was the 25th at midnight down on Maverick on 23rd or something, just after 12 a.m. And the police officer I was talking to said it wouldn't allow me to see the footage. That's why this is information I got from them, is that she wasn't with anybody, but she was buying a couple sodas. So she was with somebody, but it didn't show who she was with.
Well, I know Mia said something about she thought she was on the phone with her daughter Mia.
Okay.
And thought that she ran into some people. So we know that there was potentially someone, like you said.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, I really wish I could kind of, I want to put this timeline as much together as possible, because at the same time I was over in Oregon on a fire, and then it was the 28th or 29th is when I got the missing persons report on Facebook.
Okay.
I think that's when that was.
So it was just a few days.
Yeah, so she was only missing from that time, and I didn't know that one was the last time she was seen on the 25th. I think I seen her the 21st.
Okay.
Is when I physically seen her last, August 21st.
So how do you know David?
So he was an engine boss that worked for Playing Buffalo. So I was essentially his boss.
So you were his boss.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I was in charge of all the engine crews and contract engines to get those guys out on contracts.
And what do you know about Ronie and Dave's relationship?
So I met Dave through Ronie. When I first met him, they had a really good relationship, but kind of towards the end, it got pretty violent and toxic, I would say. Towards the end, as we kind of hang out, it wasn't as friendly and fun. It kind of was more fighting, drama, stressful, just kind of intense situations all the time. Just even if there one situation they kind of ran out of gas and it just kind of turned into a big rear thrown fight over something so small that could have been fixed. It was just not a good situation at that time.
When you first heard she went missing, what was your thought?
It was my buddy Dave. And not to point anything, but that was, I remember I was sitting in my fire truck, and that was the very first thing that came to mind.
I do know that you're not the only person that has expressed that concern. And so we definitely want to hear what you have to say. I will also say that we are also looking at all possibilities.
Yeah.
Because, it's like what we told, one of our friends that we interviewed recently. We don't know you guys. We didn't know Ronie, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
She sounds like somebody I would have gotten along great with. My type of person, as far as just so generous and kind. We want to make sure that we explore all possible scenarios.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was your first thought. So I'll ask you why.
Just because, like I said, the last time I seen her, how toxic it was. Just they were like at each other's throats, like physically, like hitting each other, like in the truck, and that's kind of the last picture I've seen of them. So the first thing when I hear of something like that happens, that's kind of what came to mind. Not trying to point fingers or anything, just that's what kind of.
Was he a substance abuser also?
Oh yes, I think he was part of the reason why she was having withdrawals or would have withdrawals and then relapse, and that's a whole other story, I guess.
Well, we were told that she kind of went back and forth all the time, so her life was kind of that.
Yeah, she would do really good, and then I think kind of be away from Dave for a little bit, and then they'd kind of get hooked back up. And that's why I didn't know if they were ever boyfriend, girlfriend, or really friends type thing, but they never admitted to me that they were in like a lover type of relationship or anything like that. So,
Okay.
and that's kind of why I didn't want to point the finger at Dave too, just because. But I have a lot of stuff that points me that direction.
Okay. Well, so we'll go through what some of your thoughts that you because you reached out to us. You said you had some information that we might find useful.
Yes.
So we'll go through that, and then I might have some questions afterwards, as well as some questions about other possible scenarios too. So.
Yeah. So the main thing, I'll just get right to it. It was sometime in August. Since we have fire trucks, everybody knows what they are in the valley. So you can't run your codes, that's running your lights or anything, your flashers, just because that's against the law unless you're actually going to an incident. We got a call from one of the contracting officers up at the Forest Service saying somebody was going up and down H Street with our fire truck with the lights and sirens on.
And this was in August of 2015?
Yes.
Do you remember the date?
I do not remember the exact date, but it was pretty close to around that same time. They found out because the Boise Police Department had camera footage of them going down the streets, and then they got a hold of our license plates, and then they got a hold of Nipsey because they wanted to pull our contract because Plain Buffalo's name was already in kind of a shit stink with everybody anyway, so they're trying to do anything they could to hurt us that way. And so when we got a hold of that, that was kind of a red flag that kind of threw up. And just...
Did you find out who the driver was?
They did have the truck at the time.
Okay. So just to be clear, it was this person had the fire truck.
Possession of the fire
truck. Was driving up and down 8th Street with lights flashing, sirens going, which was he was not supposed to be doing that at a time, and so it was.
And it was late at night, from what I've heard. It wasn't in the middle of the day type thing. So.
Okay. And 8th Street is not far from, because if I remember correctly, I think you have to take 8th Street to get to where her body was located. Okay. And he was employed by you at this time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you believe it was around the time of August 25th?
Yes, sir. Because my truck was out on fire. Our second truck was out. That truck was supposed to be going out on fire. So I know it was fully equipped, ready to go, everything on it type thing. So Dave was at Engine Bosch running that engine.
Okay. All right. That's definitely very interesting. That sounds like it could potentially put him in the area at that time. So, so what else?
Just not that. When I got back, probably I would say the 30th or the 1st, after everything was kind of going on, and everybody's kind of trying to find the missing reports. We had a shop down in Garden City. And I'm kind of a clean freak about my truck, so I want my trucks to stay clean all the time. Dave brought the truck in, and he looked like he just went mudding in that truck. And so he already knew I was going to be mad about how dirty the truck was, but it wasn't what the outside which got me, is how dirty the inside of the truck was. It literally looked like somebody was, I could say, knee-high in mud, and it was all over the seats, everywhere. And that's what kind of, I started questioning stuff, and at that time I was just kind of more mad. I was like, hey, we need to get these trucks cleaned, because if this truck gets called, we're not going to pass inspection. And I kind of started investigating everything, and then I find a big old bag of dope inside the center console, and I kind of pull it out, and I ask Dave, I'm like, hey, what's this? Well, he grabs it and then just kind of takes off and starts walking away from the shop, so that I can't kind of control him or do anything, because at that time I was like, well, what the fuck is going on? Like, why is the truck messed up? Like, why is there drugs in our fire truck? Like, what? So I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and stuff kind of, in my mind, kind of starts clicking. I'm like, and like I'm kind of starting to get scared. Like, is this really happening? Like, hey, this isn't, like, I guess the reality is kind of starting to set in at that time. But about 10 or 15 minutes goes by. I go kind of smoke a cigarette, kind of chill out, kind kind of start talking to Dave about what happened, because instead of being mad, I kind of want to get the story out of him to see what he said. He was helping a friend who got stuck outside a town by Blacks Creek, out towards Mountain Home.
Okay.
And said a buddy got out there stuck. And so I just kind of went along with it and said, okay, if that's the story, we'll go with it. But like, you know how I feel. Trucks aren't supposed to be clean. You're not supposed to have any drugs. Like, yeah. So after that was kind of I kind of just let that slide, because just like how you said, not really having any facts. Like, at that time too, I kind of thought Ronie was on just like one of her binges and just kind of hanging out at somebody's house type thing.
Okay.
My mind was kind of all over the place.
Sometimes she could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just for my clarification, so between the time that the truck was on 8th Street late at night and when it came in, you said on the 30th and the 1st, had you seen the truck in between? Or?
I hadn't, because I was out on incident on the
Okay.
fire. So,
Okay.
and then when I did get back, I didn't see Dave for those first couple days, so it wasn't until the 30th.
Okay.
Because I seen Ronie went missing when I got back about 2 to 3 days after that, and then that's when I kind of started getting calls from everyone, because I was in the cell phone range and I could not have to check my phone once a day out on the fire line type thing. So.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Please watch part 2 of the TJ interview. He has a lot more to say. It's very interesting.